If you have some moronic, insane, fringe, moral, and political views, you're probably not going to win widespread support for your position unless you can hijack someone else's position and attach it to your moronic, insane, fringe, moral, and political views. This is what happened with Christianity. Now, plenty of people have commented on the distinction between what westernized Christians believe and Christianity, which, when their views are made clear, practically no one agrees with. I'm not going to discuss this distinction much here because I'm more interested in the form of manipulation that's being used. Happens all the time. If you see a commercial with a beautiful woman eating a burger from some restaurant and all of a sudden you want to try that burger, you've been had.
When I was growing up, we didn't go to church, and if you had asked me, I would have said I would be in the category of an atheist at 16 years old. And it wasn't until someone took me to church and I heard the gospel preached that it really got me thinking and changed my whole perspective.
Wow. And why did you go to church, Kurt?
Why did I go to church? I'll be honest with you. It was because it wasn't because I was interested in God. I was interested in the girl who invited me to church. And I figured that if she and her family went to church on Sunday, I better go too, or her daddy had never let me talk to her again.
Mm-hmm. A beautiful woman being paid piles of money to eat a burger for a commercial has nothing to do with whether that burger is better than any other burger. But advertisers know that if they can connect this thing that you haven't tried with this other thing that you definitely like, you're more likely to try the thing. The result is that things you haven't tried are constantly being associated with things you like. All the things are constantly being connected to all the other things. Now, that's usually harmless enough. But what happens when something you really like is connected to something you would otherwise absolutely despise? Even more, what happens when something that no one is going to object to is connected to something that almost everyone would otherwise object to? No one in recent history has done this more successfully than the Christianity. Let's see how they do it, since that will help us avoid being manipulated when other people use the same tactic. Here's how it works. Excuse me, sir, but I have a simple question for you. All I need is a quick yes or no. Do you agree that
snake or serpent talked? Man lived in the belly of a great fish for 3 days. Jesus ordered the stoning of rebellious children. Jesus said that the Israelites could take virgin women for themselves and give 32 virgin women to Jesus. That Jesus sanctioned abortion, or the killing of the unborn, if an unfaithful wife was pregnant. Many dead people came out of the graves when Jesus died. Jesus ordered that a husband should be the first one to throw a stone at his wife if she leads him away from the belief. Jesus stopped Abraham from sacrificing his son, but didn't stop Jephthah from sacrificing his daughter.
And that whatever begins to exist must have a cause. Well, I agree with that last part, but that's not what I asked you, sir. This is a simple yes or no question, so you need to give a simple yes or no answer. Do you agree that
snake or serpent talked? Man lived in the belly of a great fish for 3 days. Jesus ordered the stoning of rebellious children. Jesus said that the Israelites could take virgin women for themselves and give 32 virgin women to Jesus. That Jesus sanctioned abortion, or the killing of the unborn, if an unfaithful wife was pregnant. Many dead people came out of the graves when Jesus died. Jesus ordered that a husband should be the first one to throw a stone at his wife if she leads him away from the belief. Jesus stopped Abraham from sacrificing his son, but didn't stop Jephthah from sacrificing his daughter.
and that
there really are objective moral duties and values, that the Holocaust is not just something that is wrong relative to Western democratic standards, but right for the Nazis?
Look, I can't give a yes or no answer to something like that.
Let me explain this with an example. Craig goes on to suggest that if morality is subjective, this is a huge problem since, for instance, there would be no way to prove to a Nazi that the Holocaust was wrong. This is a common objection to subjective morality, but it's actually one that I can account for. It's worth noting, of course, though, that even if this were true, if morality were subjective, there is no way to convince someone that the Holocaust was wrong. That would just be a harsh fact, not evidence that morality is objective. But luckily, I don't think it is necessarily true. So again, we have to be very careful here. I'm not claiming that it is objectively true that the Holocaust was wrong. Instead, I'm going to show that despite the fact that it isn't objectively wrong, and we can still convince people subjectively that it was wrong using reason. This is because even if myself and a Nazi don't agree that the Holocaust was bad, there will always be something at some level that we subjectively do agree upon. Suppose I meet a Nazi who thinks that the Holocaust was good. I naturally disagree. Now let's say that we discovered that we both subjectively agree that our own well-being is a good thing. This is a subjective feeling, but one we agree on. Based on this, if I can convince the Nazi that the Holocaust harmed all of our well-being, and this Nazi believes that things that harm his well-being are bad, I would have logically convinced him that the Holocaust is bad, even though it's based on a subjective assumption.
Yes, hello. I was just talking to one of your employees, and you're not going to believe this, but he doesn't agree with me
that the Holocaust is wrong.
Whoa, that's not what I said. I gave him a simple yes or no question about whether
The Holocaust is wrong.
and he wouldn't even answer yes to my simple question. It's not what happened. Now submit to our demands, or we're going to tell everyone that your company doesn't believe
The Holocaust is wrong.
Oh, are you still here? Look, racist for the camera. Perfect. And just met this white supremacist, probably the next Hitler, says that
You have to throw all of your moral claims out the window. All of your complaints about anyone doing anything horrible, you have to throw this out the window. You can't say that Hitler was really wrong. You just can say, you don't like what Hitler did, and it's your personal preference, and you like vanilla ice cream, and you don't like Hitler. It's all just a matter of taste preference.
if I were you, I'd call your Nazi wife and those Hitlerjugend you call your kids, because there's a mob heading to your house right this minute. I feel so powerful right now. And that's how it's done. The reason I'm pointing this out is that every adherent of every insane political position in the world has been taking notes. They now know that people are so utterly spineless that they'll agree to anything, no matter how absurd, no matter how sick and twisted, as long as it's attached to something that they can't deny. So we're going to be seeing more of this. We're going to be seeing Marxists and white supremacists and anarchists attaching their insane positions to ideas and feelings that have nothing to do with their insane positions in order to protect their insane positions from criticism. It's the Trojan Horse 2.0. How do you defeat it? 1, learn all of the main tactics people are using to manipulate other people. 2, when you see someone using one of these tactics, call them out for it. 3, when you see someone falling for one of these tactics, show them how they're being manipulated. Most people don't like being manipulated, so if you show them that there are entire ideologies that rely primarily on manipulation as a means of expansion, people will grow increasingly suspicious of these ideologies. And 4, if you show someone that they're being manipulated and they don't seem to care, then mock them for their gullibility and cowardice. Then mock them for their gullibility and cowardice.
Then mock them for their gullibility and cowardice.